Buddhacharita by Aswaghosha. The performance presents selected readings from the Sanskrit kavya Buddhacharita by Aswaghosha. His time is believed to be the 1st or 2nd century CE. It is generally accepted that the full work consisted of 28 Sargas, but only 15 Sargas of the original Sanskrit are available, the 15th having been available for general access in recent times. Some doubt persists about the authenticity of the first few verses in Sarga 1, and only the first 30 verses from Sarga 14 are available. The selected reading, covering Sargas 1 to 15, will attempt to provide a glimpse of the Buddha's life from Bhagavat Prasuti, birth of Bhagavan Shakyamuni Buddha, Sarga 1, to Jnanodaya, awakening, Sarga 14, and journey to Kashi to proclaim the Dharma, the beating of Dharma drum of immortality, Amrita Dharma Bheri, Sarga 15. The performance is presented in the traditional storytelling style called Katha Pravachana. This involves narrating the story with musical rendering of the selected text, with translation in English.
So, after he has seen Bhargava's ashrama, which he wants to go into, before going in, he has his conversation with Chandaka, his favorite faithful servant. Avatirya cha pasparsha nistirnamiti vajinam chandakam parichabravit pritaha snapayanniva chakshusha. Avatirya cha pasparsha nistirnamiti vajinam chandakam chabravit pritaha snapayanniva chakshusha. He gets down from the horse, touches it, and then talks to Chandaka. Chandakam chabravit pritaha. He is very happy with his son. Snapayanniva chakshusha, as if he is bathing him with his eyes. And he tells Chandaka, Imam tarkshopamajavam turangamanugacchata darshita saumya madbhakti vikramaschayam atmana. Imam tarkshopamajavam turangamanugacchata. This horse is very fast. Kanthaka runs very fast, and you followed behind it. He is almost as fast as Garuda. Tarkshopamajavam turangamanugacchata. You showed me, displayed your devotion to me. Darshita saumya madbhakti. You showed me not only your devotion to me, but your valor. Vikramaschayam atmanaha. Sarvathasmyanya karyopi grihito bhavata hridi. Bhatrasnehascha yasyayam idrisha shaktirevacha. What have you displayed? I was so preoccupied, so many things are in my mind. Sarvathasmi anyakaryopi, even though grihito bhavata hridi, you have captured my heart. Grihito bhavata hridi. Bhartrisnehascha yasyayam, the extraordinary devotion to the Master, to me you have displayed. Idrisha shaktirevacha, extraordinary capacity to athleticism, shakti. You have displayed power, shakti. You have made. And then Siddhartha makes a comment which is very worldly wise. Again, symbol of somebody who knows the world very well. Asnigdhopi samarthosti nisamarthopi bhaktiman bhaktiman shaiva shaktascha durlabhastvadvidho bhuvi. In this world, there are two types of people. Asnigdhopi samarthosi. There are people who are in employ, they are not devoted to you, but they are capable. There samarthosti. Nissamarthopi bhaktiman. There are a lot of other people who are incompetent, thoroughly incompetent, but they are extremely devoted to you. Nissamarthopi bhaktiman. This is how civil service is in any place. The smart ones are insincere, corrupt probably, but the incompetent ones are devoted, sincere. That is what he has already noticed in palace life. Bhaktimanschaiva shaktascha durlabhastvadvidho bhuvi. Somebody like you who is devoted, sincere and yet capable, durlabha, impossible to find, very rare indeed. An extraordinary word of wisdom of someone who knows what real life is. And then he makes another telling comment. Kulartham dharyate putraha poshartham sevyate pita ashayat shlishyati jagat nasti nishkarana swata. Kulartham dharyate putraha. Why do we have a son? For the sake of your lineage. You show affection to the son because you want your lineage to continue. Poshartham sevyate pata. In reciprocally, you care for your father because there is the father's wealth which will looks after you. Poshartham sevyate pita. So there is a transactional, give or take. There is no selfless service in this world. Ashayat shlishyati jagat. There is friendship in this world purely in a transactional way. You do this for me, I do this for you. It's a transactional world. Nasti nishkarana swata. There is no such thing as purely devotion without any reason for it. So, he paid fulsome tribute to Chandaka, his servant. He says, you have done your job. I have reached my destination. You now return to the palace and live your life in comfort. He removes his ornaments and gives it to a Chandaka who is full of grief. He is practically crying. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want to leave him. He gives him the jewelry. He reluctantly receives it. And then Siddhartha removes the shining jewel from his crown. Manina, lustrous gem, which would act as a light as you go in the darkness. That kind of light that apparently royals used to wear on their head dress, crown. And then he says, instructs Chanda. Anena manina chanda pranamya bahusho nrupaha vignapyo amukta vishrambham santapa vinivrittaye. With this special jewel, Chanda, give my prostrations on my behalf to the king. Vignapyoyam. You must represent to him with full confidence in me and help to remove his grief. Santapa vinivrittaye. Jara marana nashartham pravishtoasmi tapovanam na khalu swargatarshena nasnehena namanyuna. I'm only going to the forest to acquire knowledge so we can overcome jara marana. These three afflictions, jare, roga, marana, old age, sickness and death. That is why I am going to the forest. Nakhalu swargatarshena. I don't want swarga. I don't care for swarga. Swarga is not what I am after. I want to learn the secret so people can escape the misery. Nasnehena. I have no enmity to you, Father. I have no lack of affection for you. Na manyuna. I am not angry with you. Even though you might have disagreed, I have no anger with you. I am only going to attain this purpose. Shokatyagaya nishkrantam namam shochitumarhasi shokahetushu kameshu saktaha shochyaturaginaha. I am going to going there with the purpose of removing sadness in this world. Therefore don't grieve for me. Shoka hetishu kameshu. Grieve for those, have a thought, have pity for those that have lust, selfishness and all these things that make them miserable in this world. Raginaha. There you pity them, show your compassion to them. And then he makes a very interesting observation on life. Bhavanti hyarthadayadaha purushasya viparyaye prithivyam dharmadayadaha durlabhastu nasantiva. At a man's death, people lay claim to his material property, not to his spiritual property. Dharmadayadaha. That is the nature of the world. And so, when you go back, people will say, Edapi syada samaye yato vanamasaviti akalo nasti dharmasya jivite chanchale sati. People will say, he was young. This was not the time for him to live. But then tell them, akalo nasti dharmasya. There is no such thing as an improper time for seeking dharma. Why? Jivite chanchale sati. Life is fragile. Life is very delicate. It can extinguish at any time. Akalo nasti dharmasya. A very profound statement. Akalo nasti dharmasya jivite chanchale. Life is so unsure. It's so fragile. There is no such thing as not proper time to seek higher knowledge. So, Chandaka, the servant, is full of sadness, is choking with tears, and he tells him, what a decision you have made, Lord. Bhartas sidati me chetu. My mind dries up. Ayomayepi hridaye. Even an iron heart would melt at the kind of decision you are taking. What about one made of flesh and blood? That is what your family back here says. Snigdham ruddhancha rajanam. Don't give up that affectionate elderly father of yours. Some Vitiyam cham matacha mataram devim narhasi vismartum. That second mother of yours who has brought you up as your own. Please do not leave her. You cannot leave her out. Then there is this beautiful wife of yours. Balaputram gunavatim kulashlaghyam pativratam devi marhasi natyektum. She is so devoted to you. Pativratam. She has got a young child. Balaputram gunavatim. Such a lovely lady, good lady. Don't leave her. You cannot afford to leave her. And then there is that son. Yashodharma bhritam varam balamarhasi natyektum. How can you leave that small child? You cannot leave these people. Says, finally he makes a very powerful point. Alright, these are all your relatives. If you have decided to leave them, they are your relatives. Atha bandhuncha rajyancha tyektumeva kritamatihi. If you are determined, made up your mind that you are going to leave your near and dear ones, so be it. You see, even if you leave them, the relationship doesn't change. Yashodhara is still your wife, Rahula is still your son, Shuddhodana is your father, that Gautami is your mother, stepmother. Nothing changes except that you go away from them. They are sad. But there is another kind of relationship in this world. Mam narhasi vibho tyektum tvatpadau hi gatir mama. There is another type of relationship in this world. That's one of bondage. We have made it artificially created. Mine and yours is the relationship of boss, Lord and servant. Tvatpadav hi gatir mama. My only identity is as your son. You cannot afford to break it because I lose my identity. So it draws attention to another thing. There are other relationships like marital relationship, which is not a blood relationship, but it's a very powerful one. These other relationships, we often say glibly, blood is thicker than water. But what Ashwaghosha points out here, through Chanda, is that there are other relationships which are in fact sometimes even stronger bonds, more difficult to break. The consequences of breaking are much more severe. Consequences of breaking blood relationship is purely one of maybe sadness, but nothing changes. How can I go back to the city and answer the people, people in the palace, people in the city? What will the king tell me? What can I say to him? What will he say to me? This kind of thing you should not do. So, he says clearly, Snigdhatyago na sadrisho. You cannot give up that enormous friendship everybody has towards you. Nivartasva prasida me. Return and please me, O Lord. He has driven him there, now he is regretting it. But he says he did it he was not under control. You would think the Buddha has no answer for it, but he has one. He says, Madviyogam pratichanda santapastyajyatamayam nana bhavo hi niyatam prathagjatishu dehishu. Oh Chanda, don't grieve that you will be separate from me. This bondage will go. Because it is the condition of birth. Prathagjatishu dehishu. People with embodied birth, separation, moving away, is a condition of birth. Because you are born again and again, you have to take different forms, and therefore it is simply a complete part of being born that we separate, we move away from each other. Supposing you say, Swajanam yadyapi snehat natyajeyamaham swayam mrutyuranyonyamavashat asman santyajayishyati. How can you leave your own people? Swajanam yadyapi snehat natyajeyamaham swayam. Supposing I decide not to leave my own people out of sneha, affection. Mrutyuranyonyamavashat asman santyajayishyati. Eventually, death will separate us. Anyonyamavashat, involuntarily. Asman santyajayishyati, that makes us leave each other. Then, what has he got in his mind? Mahatya trishnaya dukkai garbhenasmi yaya dhritaha tasyaha nishphalayatnaya kvaham matu kvasa mama. That mother of mine, Maya Devi, Mahatya trishnaya, with great desire she brought me up, bore so many difficulties on account of me. Dukkhaihi, garbhenasmi yadhrita, who bore me in her womb. Tasyaha nishphalayatnaya, all her efforts have gone in vain. Tasyaha nishphalayatnaya, kvaham matuhu, who am I to her now? She is dead and gone. Kvasa mama, who is she to me? Mrutyuranyonyamavashat asman santyajayishyati. So he makes this very revealing comment about his emotional state. This is why this chapter 6 is important. This is one chapter where in the entire Buddhacharita, the work, he does not show his emotional side so freely. Obviously, his relationship with his wife would have been one of tenderness, but that we don't hear of. That is, in the palace, he has weighed up the pros and cons and decided to leave. But here, the three things, his dear servant Chanda, and the horse, and then the dead departed mother. The scar that the death of the mother has left is something that is not as clearly noticed in the life of Buddha. The other mother takes over, brings him up with great affection, so it wouldn't make any difference, but that is not the case. The scar of his mother's death is there. So he makes a declaration. When you go back to the city of Kapilavastu, you tell this to the people. They'll ask questions. Where is the prince? You have to tell them. Kshiprameshyati va krutva janma mrutyukshayam kila akritartho nirarambho nidanam yasyati tiva. You tell the people of Kapilavastu, he will quickly attain his goal, attain wisdom and come back quickly. Or else, if he is slow and is a failure, he will end his life. Nidanam yasyati. You declare this to the people of Kapilavastu. The horse, Kantaka, listens to this. He has understood, the horse has understood what he has said. Iti tasya vacha shrutva Kanthakasturagottamaha jihvaya lilihe padau Bashpamushnam mumochacha. Kantaka is very sad. Iti tasya vacha, what the master has said, Kantaka, the horse, has understood. The horse, the animal understands its master, his moods and his emotions. Jihvaya lilihe padau. He licks, the Kantaka licks the Siddhartha's feet. Bashpamushnam mumochacha, and lets down warm tears, washes his feet with warm tears. Iti tasya vacha shrutva Kanthakasturagottamaha jihvaya lilihe padau Bashpamushnam mumochacha. Then the Siddhartha responds emotionally. Jalina swastikankena chakramadhyena panina amamasha kumarastam babhashe chavayasyavad. With his webbed hand showing the chakra, he caresses the horse. Amamarsha kumaraha tam. The horse is caressed. He caresses this grieving horse. The horse is sad. And he talks to him. Babhashe chavayasyavad. Aswaghosha uses a very powerful word. He talks to the horse as if to a closest friend. The horse is his closest friend. So, Munchakanthaka ma bashpam darshiteyam sadashvata mrishyatam saphala shighram shamasteyam bhavishyati. He comforts the horse. Munchakanthaka ma bashpam. Don't shed tears, O Kanthaka. You have shown what a wonderful horse you are. What a great, good horse you are. Darshiteyam sadashvata. I'll tell you one thing. I will succeed. That means he won't end his life. Rishyatam saphala shighram. I will soon be successful. Shamasteyam bhavishyati. Your efforts will not go in vain. Your efforts will result in success. So I will. So he is the only living creature, is the horse, to which he tells his true inner feeling. To everyone else it's a formal statement. I will attempt, I will succeed, come back, I'll fail, end my life. For after that, he does a very dramatic thing. He draws the sword from Chanda's waist, he pulls it out, and with that sharp sword, he does an act which is symbolic of renunciation. With his beautiful lush hair, has this crown on it, and in one stroke, he chops off the hair along with the crown, symbolizing he not only giving up royal privileges, but also his looks. The hair is a symbol of his handsomeness. Vikiryamana chikshepa chainam sarasivaham. He throws it to heavenwards. Then the gods, the benign gods, grab it and keep it so they can worship it. So, and then that is a symbolic renunciation, goes to Bharadwaja's ashrama. Then, having no other option, Chanda and the Kantaka, very reluctantly, very slowly, crying, they support each other. He doesn't ride on the Kantaka. They walk together very slowly, trying to comfort. Vilapan muhurmuhu. They both cry. Kantaka is very sad. Chandaka is crying. The distance they covered in one night, they take 8 slow days, reluctantly returning to the palace. And then the king goes further, the prince goes further to Bhargava's ashrama, seeking enlightenment. Siddhartha has taken leave of reluctant Chandaka and Kantaka and has entered the Tapovana, the forest, for his purpose of doing austerities and seeking knowledge. The two of them come with no real enthusiasm back to the city. What they did in one night, they do in 8 nights, supporting each other, and finally reach the royal palace. Their arrival creates a lot of excitement. Oh, they have come, maybe the prince has come, but then they soon realize that the prince hasn't come with them. There is great grief, crying, wailing in the palace. All of which father, mother, all the other palace ladies can understand. But the most typical one, most heartbreaking one is that of wife Yashodhara. What's her reaction? She's angry and sad. Combination of anger and sadness. Tatastu rosha pravirakta lochana vishada sambandhi kashaya gadgadam vacha nishwasa chalat payodhara vigadha shokashridhara yashodhara rosha pravirakta lochana, eyes red with anger. But then she said, Vishada sambandhi kashaya gadgadam. Throat is choking because she is very sad. Vacha nishwasa chalat payodhara. She is heaving heavily, the chest going up and down. Vigadha shokashridhara yashodhara. Eyes full of shokashru, tears. She wails, Nishiprasuptam avasham vihayamam gatah kvasachandakamanmanoratha upagate chatvai kanthake chame samam gate shutrishu kampate manaha. I was asleep at night. Nishiprasuptam avasham, helpless. Vihayamam, he deserts me, he leaves me. Gatah kvasachandakam manoratha. Where did that beloved of mine go? Chandaka. Upagate chatvai kanthake chame samam gate shutrishu. The three of you went, but upagate chatvai kanthake chame. Pop, you only come back. Only Kanthaka and you have come back. 3 of you leave and 2 of you come. How should I feel? Kampate manaha. My heart is shaking. Nishiprasuptam avasham vihayamam gatakvasachandakamanmanoratha upagate chatvai kanthake cha me samam gateshu trishu kampate manaha. That's addressed to Chandaka. Now she is extremely angry with the horse. It betrayed her. Anartha kamosya janasya sarvatha turangamopi dhruvam esha kantaka vyahara sarvatsvamitastatha hime jane prasupte nishiratna choravat. This horse, Anarthakama, all he wanted to do was to do me harm. That was all his intention. Turangamopi dhruvam, it's for certain. He was bent on giving me the utmost harm. Jahara sarvasvamitastatha hime jane prasupte nishiratna choravat. While I was asleep at night, he stole my precious jewel, most precious jewel, like a thief at night. Nishi Ratna Choravat. He has borne her husband on his back and ridden away. Jahara, he says, she stole him. She stole him, sarvaswam, my everything. Jahara sarvasvamitastatha hime jane prasupte nishi ratna choravat. Like a jewel thief in the middle of the night. That's what this horse has done. She shows her anger fully on the horse. But then Chandaka pleads, we were not in control of ourselves. We were under a bigger force. We just obeyed that bigger force that drove us to it. Don't blame us. Don't blame Kantaka. Don't blame me. But she doesn't believe it. She says it's just lame excuses. Absolutely lame excuses. They have deliberately cooperated with the boss, with the Lord, with the Master, and gone. And now she makes a very telling technical point. Samamanatham sahadharmacharinim apasya dharmam yadi kartumichhati kutosya dharma sahadharmacharinim vina tapoyef paribhoktumichhati. I am his dharmacharini, sahadharmacharini. Apasya dharmam, leaving me, what kind of dharma is it that he follows? I am supposed to be his dharmacharini, companion in seeking dharma. Kutosya dharma sahadharmacharini vina. What kind of dharma is that? Where does it come from? Sahadharmacharini vina. Pursuing it without me beside him. Tapoyef paribhoktumichhati. She draws attention to a very serious technical point. What kind of pursuit of dharma is it? Leaving me alone, I am supposed to be his dharmacharini, sahadharmacharini. Finally she says, as any dutiful wife would say, Abhagini yadyahamayate kshanam shuchismitam bhatturudikshitum mukham. All right, I am unfortunate. I am not fortunate enough to see his beautiful face, mukham, shuchismitam, with its pure, sweet, attractive smile, and ayatekshanam, with big, beautiful eyes. That handsome face with a lovely smile and big pair of eyes. His face I am not destined to see. Abhagini yadi aham ayatekshanam shuchismitam bhatturudikshitum mukham. What sin did Rahula commit? Na bandha manda bhagyorhati rahulopyayam kadachidanke parivartitum pituhu. All right, as wife, it's my misfortune. But what did Rahula do wrong, young Rahula? Na manda bhargyorhati rahulopyayam kadachidanke parivartitum pituhu. He has no privilege to roll and play on his father's lap. Kadachit pituhu anke parivartitum. He has no privilege to have that pleasure of playing on his father's lap. What sin did he do, the little Rahula? So her bitterness and anger overflows, but there is no end. Shuddhodana is completely lost. He says, ask Chandaka and Kandaka to take him to the forest so he can persuade him to come back. But his minister, Amatya and Purohita, advisor and the minister, advise him better. It's a waste of time to go. You don't go. We will go on your behalf and try to persuade him. They go to the forest. They meet him, chase him wherever he has gone from forest to forest, seeking better and better teachers. None of them satisfy him. Who would satisfy a man of his caliber? His quest and his demands are severe. But then they finally meet him and try to argue with him. The usual arguments, Dharma and all those things. He simply declares, Tadevam apyeva ravir mahim pated. If the sun, even if the sun falls on the earth, Ravihi Mahim Pated, Sthiratvam Himavan Giristyajet, even if Himachala mountain starts moving, I am not coming back until I have attained my goal. Adrishta Tattvo Vishayon Mukhendriya, Shayeyanattveva Grihan Prathag Janaha. This person is not about to come back until I meet success, even if the sun falls onto the earth and the Himavan moves. So they come back empty-handed as they had expected. That is why they had spared the king the misery of going there. So he continues his journey, meets many people. In the Magadha king Rajagriha, where he meets the ancestor of Ashoka, Bimbisara, Shrenya, his other name is, who tries to persuade him but to no avail. He says, he offers him even half his kingdom. I'll offer you half my kingdom. Stay here, pursue your dharma here. He says, Rajyancha dasyancha matam samanam. Kingship and slavery are one and the same as far as I am concerned. So then he goes, as everybody suggests, look, no other teacher, the only teacher that might be able to assist you is the great one, Arada, the most famous teacher of the time. It seems that his philosophy was of the Sankhya philosophy. He goes and meets him. Arada is already known that the Siddhartha Buddha is on the way, quest, and is coming towards him. He welcomes him. They mutually greet each other with great courtesy and grace, even though this is his disciple. And Arada says, you don't have to prove your eligibility to me. Vina, I don't need to examine you, no entry test. Na pariksho bhavan mama. I don't need to examine you and admit you to my sessions. You qualify, you are eligible to it. So he asks him the question, Jara marana rogebhyo yathayam parimuchyate. How does a human being escape from this trap of birth, therefore of old age, death and roga? These are the three afflictions that define the frailty and the uselessness of existence according to him. So Arada teaches him two things. One, the technique of meditation. His rule is dhyana. Dhyana marga is the way to achieve your goals. There are 4 stages of dhyana. And then the other thing he teaches is about the kshetrajna. Kshetra is the field, jna is the soul. So he talks about the soul. In the 4th stage of your dhyana, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th stage, you attain the ultimate truth. But what is jnana? He says, if you do the sadhana, tato kshetrajna visruto dehan mukta ityabhidhiyate shakunif panjaradiva. If you attain success, through your sadhanas, he describes them. Then moksha in my definition, our definition is when the soul escapes the body, very much like a bird escapes a cage. Shakunihi panjaradiva kshetrajna. So the Buddha says, yes, I'll think through your... It's an elaborate teaching. I'm just simplifying the basic statement. The Arada is a very good teacher. He says, look, this is what I am telling you. I tell you. You think through. You make a decision as to what it is that you want. Whether it is yours. The Buddha, Siddhartha, yet to become Buddha, gives it a lot of thought. And then he comes up with a very serious critique. He says, Ahankara parityago yaschesha parikalpate sati atmani parityago nahankarasya vidyate. Ego. As long as there is the notion of Atma, self, there is ego. However subtle, however noble you want, give a definition of Atma, you cannot escape the fact that it is accompanied with ego, ahankara. And ahankara is not a desirable trait when you want to seek liberation. Sati atmani, as long as there is a soul, na ahankarasya vidyate. Ahankarasya parityagaha na vidyate. You cannot give up ahankara as long as there is notion of Atma. That is Buddha's very strong observation. His liberation includes not just liberation of Atma, it is beyond Atma. Because as long as there is, he says, the soul, Atma, has the characteristics of prasava and bija. It can reproduce itself. To some extent, that is what we all believe. As long as it finds another body, which is prasava. You do this one and you are born in another one. So there is no way you escape the trap of birth. Buddha's theory is that you must attain birthlessness. The only way to escape misery is to attain birthlessness. So, aradasya akritnam. Your teaching is very great. It's got many features, but it's not complete. Akritnam iti vijnaya. Your teaching is not complete. So, he parts ways, but he has learned the technique of dhyana from Arada, the teacher. He also learns from another teacher, the greatest teacher of the time, yoga, Udraka Ramaputra, son of Rama. His name is Udraka, was the master of yoga. The Buddha learns, Siddhartha learns the entirety of the technique of yoga, and then decides to perform severe austerities, denying food, denying all comforts for 6 years. It's generally said from indirect circumstantial information that the Buddha was 29 when he left palace. So he wasn't a very, very young man. He was young, but not that young, not 18, 19. So 29, for 6 years he struggles. It's recorded, even many other life stories talk about this. An extraordinary effort. That time there are 5 bhikshus who are also seekers, led by a man called Kaundinya. His Gotra is Kaundinya. And there are 4 others whose name we don't need to worry about. Varshanishat, 6 years they perform. They are impressed by the austerities that the Buddha is following. They are impressed by it, so they take him as a mentor, senior. It's like you take on a senior student in your college, the next upper year grade. So they take him up as a model. So bhikshus who take him and say, look, this is the one who is struggling hard and he is going to be our model. But then, after 6 years of Varshanishat Shamaprepsuhu Akarot Karsyamatmanaha, he struggles, spends a lot of time, misery, becomes weak, hardly able to stand himself. No success. And then it occurs to Buddha, to Siddhartha. Shutpipasa shramaklantaha shramadaswasthamaanasaha. Hunger, thirst. This is what I am suffering all the time. These are the only realities. Shamad, aswastha manasa. My mind is gone funny, delirious. Prapnuyan manasa vapyam phalam katham amrit. He says, in this state, how can I attain enlightenment? I don't even know what's going on next to me. How can I expect to attain higher learning? This is rubbish. This is not the path to take. He rejects this path of suffering. Swastha prasanna manasaha. You have to be in a reasonably pleasant state of mind. Samadhi rupapadyate. If you want to reach equanimity, balance of mind, you have to be in a reasonably pleasant state of mind. And that is so true. Chapter 6, again, historically comes much later of the Gita, Dhyana Yoga. It is moderation there. Not yashnatastu. Don't eat too much. Don't starve. Don't sleep too high. Don't sleep too low. Don't struggle. Don't lose sleep. And don't sleep too much. All of these are in chapter 6. So, whether we may not like to admit it, quite a lot of the teachings in non-Buddhist texts, Hindu texts, have been influenced by the observations. There is absolutely no escaping that the Buddha was an extraordinarily inquiring mind, perceptive mind, very sharp. And he questioned the notion of Atma, which kept the three Acharyas busy for 600 years. Each of them tried to get another definition of Atma. Shankara tried to handle it one way, the others tried to handle it another way. So he is given all these challenges and they are still struggling. They have made success, fantastic achievement, mental, intellectual achievements, but not any of them, their disciples won't like to admit, is complete. Fantastic insights, but not complete. So, he says, samadhita chittasya dhyana yoga pravartate. This is almost lifted as if it's the first century here, from sixth chapter, which comes much later. So, he gives it all up and symbolically breaks his fast by accepting milk payasa from a cowherd girl, Gopadisuta, and then gradually builds his health. At this rate, the 5 bhikshus get disappointed. Here is a role model we take. He was going to be our mentor. He has given up, copped out. He has succumbed to this thing and has taken to comfortable living now. So they get disgusted and go off to Kashi. They leave him, desert him and go off. But then somebody else says, look, you must go to Gaya now and do what you can. So he goes to the Gaya, the famous Bodhi tree, and then underneath the Bodhi tree he tramples and sits there. Gajaraja Vikrama, it's his own steps. Again the elephant theme, his final moment. And there he disturbs and kala-kshepa. It's a very symbolic statement. Sarpa is always kala-kshepa, time. Is likened to a serpent. It's a benign one, it gets up. It is disturbed. Symbolically, Aswaghosha describes it that way. It's disturbed, it moves out and blesses him. Bhujagottamaha stutim. He says, Yathacha saumya divinam shivaya tvamadhya buddho niyatam bhavishyati. Buddha decides to sit in dhyana there under the Bodhi tree, and the kala-kshepa, the benign serpent which leaves the place where he sits, moves out, declaring, today you are going to become Buddha. You get enlightenment today. And then the Buddha takes on, he has learnt yoga, Paryankasana. Paryankasana is an asana which goes one stage beyond the Virasana or the Vajrasana. Paryanka literally means a couch. It's the shape of a bed or a couch or that kind of thing. He goes into that state. Paryankam akampyam uttamam. Babandha looks like a folded up serpent. And then he makes a declaration. I am going to stay in this place and perform dhyana. That he has learned from Arada. Gratefully. And I'm not getting out from this position until I get enlightenment. Then there are 2 chapters which describe about his overcoming his own lust, kama, and then Mara. Mara tries to disturb him because he is in tapas. It's a very symbolic chapter trying to indicate Buddha's effort at overcoming any personal remnant of deficiencies. And then comes to the chapter 14, which is the chapter of Buddhatva Prapti, attainment of enlightenment. So, Sarveshu Dhyana Vidishu, all the dhyana techniques that he has learned from Arada, he practices. And in the first stage, there are 4 stages Arada tells him. In the first stage, he remembers all his earlier births. All his earlier births. Human, animal, whatever, deaths and all the sufferings and miseries. And he sees that of others too. Karunya, compassion wells up, because all he sees is misery. Nissara, he says, it's useless existence. What was all that existence for? There was nothing in existence. So he takes a very negative view. In life, there is really nothing worthwhile. Concludes, worldly existence is insipid. Nissara is the word. Kadali Garbha Nissara, like a plantain shoot. Then he goes into the second stage of dhyana. Vitiye tvagate yame advitiye parakrama. He looks at the entire existence as if he is looking at a clear, blemishless mirror. Divyam lebhe param chakshuhu sarva chakshushmatamuraha dadarsha nikhilam lokam adarsha iva nirmale. Adarsha is a mirror. Nirmala is pure, clean. He looks at everything, existence, as if he is looking at the whole thing through a clear mirror. What does he see? Same. He sees existence everywhere. Dadarsha nikhilam lokam. He sees everything and no good. Life not just on his own, but other lives in the heavens, beneath, everywhere. And only evildoers get punished. He sees all the punishment that's meted out to people who do papa. He sees the benefits of going to heaven that's given to ones that have led a good life. But he sees there is no big deal in going into heaven. Heaven isn't Sarga is not such a big worthy prize. Evildoers suffers, the others go to heaven, but he gives a description of the hell and heaven. It's not much of a difference really. It is essentially Nissara. You have a bit of a comfortable life there, but once your merit finishes, you drop down. So 5 worlds of living beings, land, water, space, Bhumi, Jala and Akasha. And then upper land, Sarga and Naraka. All 5, he says, he takes one single measure of them all. They are all worthless, useless. There is suffering, you lose your merit. It's like frequent flyer points. You have a luxurious travel as long as you've got frequent flyer points. Once it's finished, you have to go to the cattle class. And he notices one thing. All that you see common is likes torture likes. Humans torture humans. Land beings torture land. Kastha kastaihi badhyante. Sky dwellers torture sky dwellers. They kill and each other, they torture each other, torment each other. Jalastaha jalacharebihi. Water beings torture fellow water beings. They live off each other and they torture them. Stalastaha, land people, torture land people. So there is nothing, no great charm. So he then goes into the third yama and then gets to know the nature of things a little bit. That is, he knows about perception, vijnana and namarupa. There is name, nomenclature and knowledge, consciousness and name. And then sparsha, he learns about sparsha, touch. And then the moment you touch, there is Vedana, suffering, pleasant or unpleasant. Vedana is a neutral term here. Once that happens, Trishna, thirst comes. You long for it. You see a nice piece of cloth, you touch it, you want it. You see something beautiful, you covet it. And then that means you have to take action. Once you take action, then misery. That is life. You have to be born. Existence. That creates jati, birth. Janana. So this is a very simple summary of his vision in the third stages of dhyana. And then finally, he is not satisfied with all of that. And he knows one thing, that all of this thing creates the desired needs to birth. Finally, it doesn't clear. This is where the last 50 shlokas are missing. We can only infer through the translations. The translations are to the best, it's a retranslation from Sanskrit to Chinese or Tibetan, and then back from Tibetan or Chinese to English, and then probably Sanskrit. So it is not particularly satisfying to know what his perception was, but all that we know is in the fourth yama, absence of avidya. His ignorance goes, that's all the summary is. His ignorance goes and jnanodaya happens in the fourth yama. Buddhatva prapti. He becomes enlightened because he now knows the truth. We don't quite know exactly how the description of truth is here. We just have to accept that he does that. Under the Bodhi tree. But even after that, he continues in that, it happens that night, but he continues in that state for 7 more days as a continuation of the experience. Then there is great event, the earth sways, and the fact that he has realized, he has attained enlightenment, is celebrated by the Ikshvaku Rajarshis. Ancestors all come back and rejoice at the success of their great progeny, their future being. So there is great rejoicing, the ancestors come, and the gods of the 4 quarters, now he has become a Buddha. That means he has attained, he's become now not a prince, he was never a prince, he gave it up once he hacked out his thing and renounced. Now he was still a seeker Siddhartha, now he is a bhikshu. That means that is the final state in which you attain as a Buddhist. And that means you need a bowl. The gods of the 4 Dikpalakas, they come and give him a bowl each. So he melts them into one. The Buddha combines them and makes them into one. And his first bhiksha is given by 2 wealthy merchants. This is a theme that runs through in the second half of the book, 15 to 28. The Buddha forms a sangha for the people who seek, supportive to each other. It might be the very first time in the Indian tradition that there is the notion of a congregational prayer, community, say sharing. Otherwise, until then, it is the individual quest, sangha. So, the other consequence of that is, these people have a right to live a simple life without having to work hard for it. The rich people are trustees. They have to look after. So his first bhiksha is given by 2 very wealthy merchants. These merchants' themes are kings and others who come and patronize, comes frequently in the chapters 16 to 28. His patrons are all these wealthy people. So the Buddha's notion is a very socialistic thing. He cares for the worldly suffering of the poor. He wants to look after them, but he doesn't want them to become too greedy. But at the same time, the wealthy have an obligation to look after the people. They are the ones that have to give bhiksha. So he has become an enlightened person. So the first people he looks to share his enlightenment is the 2 gurus, Arada and Udraka, the yoga teacher and Arada. But by this time, they have gone they have left the earth and gone to Sarga. So they are not available. So he therefore decides to go to Kashi. That is the material of chapter 15. And as he goes to Kashi, we will describe the He's going to Kashi and proclaiming the Dharmachakra is the final chapter 15th. The first of the second half is a very crucial chapter because that is the one where he shares his teaching with the world. He is the first teacher and is also his status after he has become an enlightened person. So what does Aswaghosha do? What is the state of mind of Buddha? We are all curious to know. The whole chapter is 55 stanzas, but we will just share it with a few select stanzas. What is his condition like? Physical condition like? What is his mental condition like? He could describe the Buddha after he became enlightened, the Siddhartha after he became Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha now, we can call him the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha. What was his condition, mental state like? What was his physical state like? What Aswaghosha does is a very clever literary trick. He creates an imaginary traveler. As Buddha is walking to Kashi from Gaya, he creates this Upaga, the one who fellow traveler. He observes the Buddha. So we know about the description of Buddha is given. The Buddha is given. The enlightened person, the prince, who is now a bhikshu, is given by the way the fellow traveler sees him. Tam shantamojasvinamaptakaryam prayantamekam bahuneva sardham kashinnishemyadhvani bhikshu dharma savismayah pranjalirityuvacha. That imagined traveler, fellow traveler who is seeing Buddha, he sees this person, Shantam, full of peace, at peace. It's not the restless prince anymore. Shantam, Ojasvinam, full of radiance. Aptakaryam. If you look at him, you know that he has attained his goal. Aptakarya. Karya has been attained. Prayantamekam, traveling alone, but he gives the impression as though thousands are with him. It's indicating that this is the leader. Buddha acquires disciples and followers in thousands. That is the problem. That's what the challenge for the Vedantists later on, because it became the most popular faith in his time. Prayantamekam bahuneva sardham. He was traveling alone, but it looked as though he was not alone. There were thousands behind him. Kashinnishemyadhvani bhikshu dharma. This other chap sees this. Savismayah pranjalirityuvacha. He asks him, bolts his hands and asks him, Satveshu sakteshu yathasya saktaha chalendriyashveshu jitendriyashvaha shanke namasyosti shashanka kalpa prajnarasasya tirasasya triptaha. Of all those people that are beings that are interested in things, you look as though you are not interested at all. Yathasi asaktaha, not interested in all these worldly things. You seem detached from this world. So this is the status of Buddha. He is at peace with himself, looks at peace, looks radiant, looks impressive, but he is not restless. He is not particularly interested in Chalendriyashveshu jitendriyashvaha. All the other indriyas which are active and restless, you look like one that has conquered the indriyas. And you look like somebody who should be revered. Shanke namasyosi. Vaktrasya te dhira yatha prasadaha. Your face looks so much at peace. It looks so graceful. Karoshi chaishwaryamihendriyanam Nunam kritarthosi maharshi bhaksha. It's clear you have attained your goal. Maharshi bhaksha. Your eyes look like that of a great sage. Maha Rishibha Aksha. Your eyes look as though they have seen enlightenment. They look like the eyes of a great Rishi, Maharshi. He asked the question, Kaste Gurur Bruhyeto Siddha. Where did you acquire this attainment? Where did you acquire this Siddha? Who is your Guru? He probes, the Buddha probes. Because Aswaghosha wants him to give the correct reply, the Buddha gives a reply which is slightly unusual. Tamso bravin nasti mamanushasta manyo na me kaschana navamanya swayam bhuvam mam avagaccha dharme nirvanamapannam atulyamanyai. He says, I have no guru. Mamasti nasti mamanushasta. I have no teacher. I have nobody whom I have to respect, and I don't have anybody who I'll despise. He is in a state of equanimity. He doesn't have to respect anyone. He is not servile. He is not arrogant. Manyo na me kaschana nava manya. I don't look upon anyone. There is nobody that I consider beneath me. Swayambhuvam mam avagacha. I have no guru. Swayambhuvam, I am self-taught. I am self-born as an enlightened person. Nirvanamapannam. I have attained nirvana, realization, liberation. Atulya manyehi. Nobody can compare it. No one else has attained it. I have attained it. He says it with absolutely no arrogance. Matter of fact. That is the status he has reached. And then he makes this other very interesting comment. Yatascha bodhavyam abuddhamanyai buddham maya kritsnam atosmi buddha. Why am I Buddha? There was knowledge to be acquired by anyone. Yatascha bodhavyam abuddhamanyai. Other people didn't bother to go after it and acquire it. Yatascha bodhavyam. What was there to learn, the ultimate truth, was there all the time. Abuddhamanyaihi. They didn't go after it. Buddham maya. I acquired it. And therefore I am Buddha. Buddham maya krishnam. I learnt it in full. And therefore I am Buddha. Atosmi buddha. Again stated matter-of-factly. This was there for others to learn. They didn't. I did it. And therefore I am Buddha. Kleshascha yasmad abhinirjita. May I overcome afflictions, suffering. Tasmad jinam mam upagava gacha. O fellow traveler, therefore think of me as somebody who has jina, who has conquered. Jina term is common to Buddhist and Jainat. Basically that means somebody who has conquered, has become victorious. So he states all about himself in a very matter-of-fact way. It's a dialogue, an imaginary dialogue. Once he has said that, then he declares what is his intention. What are you going to know? Varanasi mesha cha saumyayami tatraha nishye amrita dharma bherim artasya dukkaihi jagato hitaya namana hetoho na yashasukhaya. I am going to Kashi to proclaim this Amrita Dharma Bheri, to beat this Dharma Bheri, this drum of Amrita Dharma, of this immortal truth. Why? Artasya dukkhahi, to bring relief to the suffering humanity. Jagato hitaya, for the good of the world. Na mana hetoho, not for my prestige, not for my fame. Na mana hetoho na yashasukhaya. That is my mission. And he makes another declaration. He has had many births, as the birth he described, that he has now become refined through many births. Tirno jagat tarayita bhaveyam mama bhavat purvamiyam pratigna. My pledge long ago, many births ago was, once I cross, I will help others cross. I'm not going to be selfish. It's not just me, I want to help other people cross. And he makes a comment which is very highly socialistic. What a funny thing in this world. Kim chitram atmanamihaika yad varayed arthamavapya kaschet. People strive and make enormous wealth, but then they don't share it with the have-nots. What a strange world. Kim chitram. What an extraordinarily strange world. People acquire wealth, but they don't want to share it with others who are suffering, the have-nots. He finds it very perplexing, the Buddha. So his mentality is suffering of the world and therefore being relief. So he is walking towards the Kashi. Then those 5 bhikshus who got disgusted with him and went away, they saw him coming. They said, oh, this Buddha's family, his Vamsha is also Gautama. That's why he is known as Gautama. He is Gautama Vamsha. And these are all known by their Gotras. The Buddha is also known by the Gotra, Gautama Gotra. So they call him Gautama. It's a kind of not recognition, in other words, they are recognizing his status of birth, but not the status of enlightenment. They should call him Buddha, but they call him Gautama. Look, this Gautama is coming, the fellow who abandoned austerities and took to life of comfort. We will welcome him, give him a seat, but we will not show him any great respect or any other sign of reverence that he thinks he expects from us. Because they are not very happy that whatever it is that he has gained, he might have gained by taking the soft way, comfort way. He comes here, so we will ignore him, but give him the seat to sit, because he has come a long way. But whatever happens, we will not stop calling him as Gautama. We won't call him Buddha. We won't recognize his degree. We won't recognize his qualification, newly acquired. So they ask him, call him Gautama. He says, look, you call me what you like. You can manarha marakanta mahagauravena. I am now become a respectable, an enlightened soul. You don't have to call me by what name. Manapamanav khalu me samanav. Your honor or your insult don't mean anything to me, but look to your own salvation. Yushmasta punyat vinivartayami. If you know what your punya and papa is, don't insult me by not recognizing my current status. He just tells them, but they don't care. Then they ask him a question. Tapah prakarshena parena tattvam sukhe stito dushkara sadhyamartham. You are in comfort, you are taking nourishment, you are having comfort, proper sleep and everything else. How can you attain higher knowledge if you are living a life of comfort? Then the Buddha replies, Sharira khedair hitapo bidhanai paryakule chetasi badhyamane na jatu vindedapi loka sanyam atindriyam kim bata tattva margam. Sharira khedai, torturing the body, tapo bidhanai, that kind of austerity, you only torture your mind and body, badhyamani. Najatu vindedapi loka sanya. You don't even know what is going on around your world. Atindriyam kim bata tattva margam. The path of truth which is beyond indriyas. How can you expect to attain that when you can't even know what is happening next to you? And he gives a simile. Yatha hi deepena navarise kaihi naishantamo nashamihābhyupeti jnānagnina ajñānatamastathaiva pranāshamabhyeti na kaya khedaihi. If you want to dispel darkness, you need light. Yatha hi deepena. You can't shake off darkness through a hose of water. Varisekai. Sprinkling water doesn't get rid of darkness. Yathahi deepena na varisekai naishantamo nashamihabhyupaiti. Your ignorance, your darkness is not dispelled. In the same way, the darkness of the night is not dispelled by sprinkling water. You need light. Jnana agnina ajnana tamastathaiva. In the same way, you need the light of jnana. Jnana agni, ajnana tamaha tapaha. You can only get rid of the darkness of ajnana, ignorance, through jnana agni. Pranasham abhyeti na kaya khedayi. So, if you want fire, you don't get fire by hacking wood or dropping wood or whatever. You have to rub wood. Yoga. Bring things together. Tadeva matnan labhate bhyupayam yogat tathapnoti amritam na khedat. So, if you want fire, you have to rub two pieces of wood. Yoga, coming together, yoga. In the same way, if you want immortality, it is through yoga. You must do it through yoga. Therefore, I have taken the middle path. Anta vimautena vivarjayitva madhyena margodhigato mayanya atyanta dukkopashamasya neta kshemashivaschaiva niramayascha. Therefore, I have abandoned the extremes of extreme comfort, extreme misery, and taken the middle path. Madhyena margo. Atyanta dukkopasha. That is the best path. And what are the sources of misery? Jati, birth, old age, disease, vipatti, disaster, loss of a beloved, or having to live with somebody whom you don't like, not attaining wealth. Nana vidam dukkham. And then he makes this one comment. That is one source. Longing for things, birth, priyatyayo, loss of the one that you love, and vipriya samprayogaha, aprapti arthasya. These are all the sources of sadness, desire and unfulfillment, and therefore sadness. And then the other comment is Shantarchiralpopi yathahi vakni naivoshna bhavam sahajam jahati. The fire might have been completely quelled, but if a little bit is left, even the smallest bit of fire is left, Shantapi sukshmapi tatha atma sanya dukkhatmiketi eva sunishchitam me. This notion of Atma, just as a little bit of fire, the bulk of the fire you might have extinguished, but if a small bit of Shantarchihi, alpopi ethasi vakni, na ushna bhavam sahajam jahati, doesn't give up its heat. And therefore, the Atma, however small and however little it might make it, however sukshma, dukkhatmiketi, essentially it causes misery. And therefore, the only way to escape is through getting rid of one's blemishes, getting rid of karma, and therefore attain that state where nothing exists. And then finally he declares the Dharmachakra, whose characteristics are Shilaram Shamadamane Vishalam Krikilam Mrutimati Vairya Viryanaabhi Gambhiryad Avitathataha Sudeshitatvat Trailokye Sthiram Anya Shastraihi. He proclaims the Dharmachakra, the famous Dharmachakra, which has been the symbol for many things ever since. What are the characteristics of Dharmachakra? It's spokes are Shila, good character, good conduct, determination. Shilaram Shamadamanemi. Its rim or willingness to suffer, Shama and Dhamma. Shama is control, Dhamma is control, Shama is pairing up with misery. The rim is the one that bears all the pressure that the whale takes. Its contact is with the ground, is with the rim. And therefore, that is the one that, in other words, the willingness to undergo hardship. Dhi Vishalam. In the chakra, that space between the spoke, the rim, and that sector, it is called, that is where the intellect is. Dhi. Hrikilam. Hri means shyness, baptness with plural. A kind of lack of egoism. Hri, shyness, bashfulness, is the axle on which the wheel rotates. In other words, the important thing is lack of ego. Hri Kilam. Smritimati Vairya Viryanabhi. Mindful energy. Smriti, memory, Mati, intellect, Viryanabhi, that is the hub. The wheel, the energy of the wheel is in the hub. When a wheel moves, it's in the hub. That's where all the gear changes are there. Gambhiryat, profound. It's a very serious thing. Avitathataha sudeshitatvat. It must be well directed. All this effort must be well directed. That is the notion of the Dharmachakra. Trailokye sthiram avivartyam. Nothing can challenge this notion. So in other words, the formula, the paradigm for success is good character, Sheelam, commitment. That should be Sheela Aram. Spoke must be a firm spoke for the wheel. Otherwise the wheel will bend and nothing happens. It doesn't do any work. It doesn't carry. It doesn't move. If it has to do anything, it has to have strong spokes, which is strong character. And the ability to put up with hardship. Dhi Shamadama. Dhi Vishalam. All of this is guided by intellect. And low ego and energy of mind and character and intellect and the mati should also goes into the hub. So this chakra is proclaimed on heaven and earth, and the beings of heaven beat this dharma bheri. Apatat Tridiva Nivasino Abhijagnuhu. So that's the declaration of Dharmachakra in Kashi, the ultimate summation of what it is that is needed to attain anything in life. It's a model not just for Buddhism, but for any activity of life. Character, ability to put up with hardship, the intellect that guides what is in that sector, and the energy in the hub, and low ego on which the whole wheel turns. So any activity that human effort is centered around it. That's his extraordinary vision, summed up beautifully in that in that vision of a Dharmachakra, which is proclaimed. And I think that is what is on the Ashoka Chakra. Is basically the Ashoka's. The Ashoka declared it in his shasanas, but the inspiration is Buddha's chakra. So with that, we'll conclude with the Madhyama. Shriyam paradhyam vidadhadvidatrajit tamo nirasyan abhibhuta bhanubhrit nudan nidagam jita charu chandrama savandyate arhan niha yasya nupama. We sang the Mangala by using the same invocatory stanza which paid homage to the Buddha. Shriyam paradhyam vidadhadvidatrajit tamo nirasyan abhibhuta bhanubhrit नुदन्निलाघं जितचारुचन्द्रमा स वन्द्यते अर्हन्निह यस्य नोपमा बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धर्मं शरणं गच्छामि संघं शरणं गच्छामि ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः